Wait, we going live right now?
Fuck it, why not?
Okay. All right, no preamble then.
No, no, no. Well, I mean, a lot of stuff has happened. Where do you want to start?
I think a good meme is to start with the Tabuchis because that's what we've been doing lately. That's the meme of the show.
Fill us in.
So the Tabuchis, what have they been up to? Well, they fought at Noah Cup, which is a karate knockdown tournament. They fought at Hoost Cup, both of them, and Kanta now and that was the 28th of September. They fought in Noah Cup, I think. The dates are all fucked in my head now, but and he's gonna fight again at Rise against Omori. So 3 fights in a month and a half, I think.
So that sounds believable, knowing what I know, but also we have both been having a slightly Alzheimerian moment with each other. We were both convinced that Chiharu Higuchi was going to fight again. Um,
Correct.
Yeah, so like I can remember details about stupid ass fights from like 12 years ago, but I cannot remember like verified facts that I've talked about and watched. And yeah, I'm not sure I trust you here. Are you sure has happened?
Jesus, coming at me already. Which fight are you not convinced of? Because I watched the Hoos Cup fight. I'm sure that happened.
Okay, I believe you.
All right. Conda sent it to me, so I can't be having a senior moment. We did watch that one, and you did see the announcement that he's fighting Omori, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay, so then we're all good. And I watched the Noah Cup, so no senior moment this time. Maybe next time. But yeah, so they fought uh, 3 times in about a month and a half, and they've fought 4 times total since we last spoke, which seems to be the link. That was how many times they had fought last time between podcasts as well. So it seems like a good goal
yeah, it's
every
like
month and a half.
over here we use the solar calendar. In Asia, they use the lunar calendar, and on the podcasting geological scale, we use the interval between four Kanta Tabuchi fights.
Yeah, exactly. Every 4 Tabuchi fights, we will meet again to talk about kickboxing.
Cool, cool. So, should we go through some results? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should do that. I think there's so much. I think we should just stick to like strictly J kick. Um,
Well,
maybe
it's
skip the one stuff
well,
because that's been covered by Luke, and that's gonna take forever.
that's true, but I mean, there was a really nice segue there. We were talking about, uh, different calendars and demarcations of time, and we've gone from the Giorgio Petrosian is good era to the Giorgio Petrosian was never good actually era. So
Oh yes, yes, yes. Muay Thai wife guy takes all over the place.
yeah, Lord knows when they're actually going to finish that tournament. I'm sure it'll be great as long as it doesn't end up being like every other one tournament where it's just going to be three guys you've never heard of that were not supposed to be there. So, good luck.
Yeah, especially in the COVID era, I really much prefer one night tournaments, especially because it just every time they tried to do like separate events for it, it's always fallen apart. You just can't right now.
Yeah,
Let's save that shit for like 2 years from now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just not going to work in this era.
So, Glory is back, I guess. Plazabat looked great still. I like him. Former K1 Japan heavyweight champ. Rico had huge trouble with putting away one of the last holdouts of the true essence of quote unquote Dutch kickboxing, which is being 7 feet tall and a career criminal. So it seems Rico's finally found his groove and is able to have like good fights now. Um, I feel like I've been a bit harsh on the guy. Like, yes, he's the best heavyweight of a bad, bad era, but at least now he's being entertaining at the same time. So good for him. Looks like a monster right now. Like, I mean, physically, not in the ring. I mean, he looks, all fucked up and awful.
I,
But that was a good fight. Like, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it.
I did not, and I won't.
Oh well, I mean, by some accounts, it's maybe the fight of the year, and I think part of that is that they gave him
Yeah,
5
right. All
rounds.
right.
So
All right, now we're talking crazy. Now we're back on the fentanyl stuff we were on last time we were here. Let's not go down that road again,
okay,
please.
okay. Well, let's detox then. So Rise
Hmm.
happened. Um, Tension versus Suzuki, surprisingly uneventful. Uh,
Surprisingly,
well, I mean, maybe not
what
as
did
a.
I say about that fight? Huh?
Well,
I
you're
think I
you're asking me to remember stuff.
I was down on that fight. You told me I was crazy. I told you it'd be shit, and it was. But
Okay.
I think that's more to do with tension having one foot out the door than anything
Yeah, yeah,
else.
yeah. Like I think unless he's fighting absolute no hopers, his last few fights are just going to be like this. Like his focus is clearly on boxing, and it would be a disaster for him not to go to boxing undefeated. So, I think even if the Takeru fight does happen, it's not going to be that great.
I don't even care about that fight at all anymore. I
Yeah,
don't even want it. I
yeah,
hope it doesn't happen. Fuck it. It's so stupid now.
yeah. Aside from the fact that I don't think it has a chance of living up to whatever hype has been placed upon it. I don't think people look back on this era of Japanese kickboxing and think that that fight is actually the pinnacle of competition in the next few years. I think the way it's going to go down is maybe Yoshiki Take has a really good career and people look back and say, like, damn, can you believe this guy fought Kumura in the finals of a tournament? And like retrospectively, that's going to become the high point. Uh, I don't really care what Tension does after kickboxing. Like if he does well in boxing, good for him. But uh, like the silly exhibition he had, well, the multiple silly exhibitions he's had. Like okay, he can look good, but he doesn't look like a world beater like he does in kickboxing. And he gets paid more money. Cool, good for him. But I watch to be entertained. So unless he like surprises everybody and reaches a level nobody expected, probably not going to be paying too close attention to his subsequent career.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that fight had happened a couple of years ago, I guess we'll just jump right into this. So, if it happened a couple of years ago, I could see it, but now both of them seem to have one foot out the door. Tension's already going to boxing, is winding down. He's probably not even training kickboxing that much anymore. Takaru's talking about how he has crazy anxiety. He doesn't sleep. He's doing a Daenerys Targaryen. He's hearing fucking bells ringing. Like it's not. He should just retire. Like if that's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like if it happened now, it would almost feel cheap to me because Takaru seems like he's not that healthy anymore. And then Tension's got one foot out the door. So would what happens now really have been how it went down when they were both all in? I don't know. It just let it go. We got Leona versus Takaru. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm much more interested in seeing him fight Hirotaka Asahisa than I am seeing him fight Tension. Like at least one, it's possible, doesn't have huge layers of just volcanic bullshit surrounding it. It can happen. It's a
Yeah.
good, high quality fight. I don't care. Anyway, the Rise tournament fell apart at the last minute due to Osaki the Lesser missing weight pretty bad, which meant Kodai had the misfortune of having to lose to Shiro again immediately. But the surprise of the evening was Kazane having a real couple of bangers. I mean, winning that tournament doesn't have the same meaning that it would have if it all went to plan. But I think he showed he belongs at the top of that division, and I'm interested in seeing him again. Whereas before, he was just kind of another guy that I didn't think was at the level of some of the other competitors. It was good. I enjoyed it. It would have been better if it, was the original lineup, but oh well.
Yeah, that was just never going to happen when they split it over two events. And I wasn't actually very happy with them seeding the tournament either. That was a little weird. Like to me, if you're going to seed a tournament, you do it at the start. You know what I mean? To sort of have the first play out and then go, well, we're going to seed the second round, so it favors the ones we want. That was a little weird to me. That left a bad taste in my mouth. I thought the judging was awful. I mean, I'm not going to bore people with that again, but I don't think Kazane was deserved to be there. I thought he lost like last time, but Kazane did show that he belonged there. I do agree with that. He really pushed Shiro back a lot. But still the judging left a bad taste in my mouth. But it wasn't a robbery, and he didn't belong there at all. He's proven that he can throw down with the best of them. Obviously, with both brothers getting injured and dropping out of the tournament, that kind of hurt it a little bit. But still, I think overall it was as good as a tournament as we could get, during this COVID era.
Yeah, and Shido immediately had surgery on both of his hands, which suggests to me that he probably had pretty serious injuries going into the final.
Almost certain.
Yeah, I may not like watching all his fights, but I love him. Like, he donated over 1,000 pounds of rice to like food pantries and kids' schools and stuff, but because his hands were all fucked up, he couldn't hand it over in person. So, he still donated it, but then he also went to work in like a kitchen where he could hand over the meal plates and stuff. He's the best, man. He's plain and simple. I love him.
Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Uh, Kento surprisingly had some trouble with Tapruan.
Yeah, he got dropped. So I have a lot to say about this fight. So, everybody gets caught up in the hype immediately after a fight. I would really recommend people rewatch that fight as I did. So, I actually think there's a pretty good parallel to the Hiroki versus Taiyo Asahisa fight, in that in the moment, I think it looked a lot worse than it was. So when I saw it live, I thought, holy fuck, Taiyo is almost out of there. Upon rewatching, he gets hit hard and drops, but he bounces back up right away, and he's not sort of wobbling all over the place.
Yeah, and it's not like his head like snapped back and then fell back. It's like the neck is like sturdy all the way down.
Yeah, like he just got caught, with a surprise knee against, I think, not taking an opponent very seriously. I think the exact same thing happened to Taiyo against Hiroki, and then immediately turned it on and won. Because I was seeing people say like, if he can't even beat Tapuan easily, good luck against Petch and stuff. I would say be real careful with that kind of thinking, because there's kind of a saying they use in other like ball sports, like sometimes you play down to your opponent. I think that was a factor there big time, because people said the same thing about Taiyo. They said, wow, if he gets dropped that hard by a knee from Hiroki, who's not that good, Gonapar is going to kill him. And in fact, Taiyo was the one who floored Gonapar with a knee and just about folded him in half. So I wouldn't read that much into it. It was very obvious to me that he came in not respecting Tapruan at all. He was, instead of throwing combos and moving, he was just throwing like one-off huge spinning kicks and stuff. Like, he clearly just wanted to get a highlight finish. Yeah, same thing with I said about Gunapar versus Kaneko Daiki. He looked really bad in the first round. I said for the Taiyo fight, don't take the Hiroki fight and the Kaneko fight and try to draw a parallel, because sometimes you just fight down to your opponent's level, and sometimes you just come in not taking it seriously and you get surprised. And I was right about that one. I think that will play with this one as well. I wouldn't look too much into that.
Yeah, there's one thing I would look into in this fight, which is that the ref had kind of an itchy trigger finger, which makes me think that the powers that be perhaps had a vested interest in getting him to his next fight with as little damage as possible. So he's finally fighting Petch at 65 kg. I know as a karate man, you look at the difference of like 5 pounds and say you're out of your fucking mind thinking this is a big deal. But I think at these lower weight classes, I think it really does. And I think, I think it is a huge credit to Kento and a huge credit to Rise that, they're taking one of their best and most marketable champions and putting him in a fight, which I think most people would say there's a good chance he loses. And I just think if you compare this to, shall we say, certain other organizations and the fights that they put their champions in, it is night and day. And I think it's like, I'm surprised at how little chatter there's been about this.
I think one thing that's hurt it is just the suddenness of it, right?
Yeah, I guess also that it's already been announced before.
Sure, and I think they're banking on that they've been talking about it for a while, but I think it's a huge mistake to, announce this on their last card and then, it's like what, a month? It's not even a month away now. You know what I mean? There's no build up
Yeah.
to what's going to be like Rise's biggest fight. I think that's a little too quick, but
I guess there's probably also a lot of stuff behind the scenes that had to fall into place for them to be able to put it together.
yeah. I think the main thing is just like the Taio Gonopar fight. I wouldn't look at Tapruan as like evidence of how that's going to play out. I think Petch should be the favorite. He's got way more experience, way more high level fights. This is by far Kento's hardest fight, but I think he will come into it much more prepared
Oh,
and
for
take
sure.
it way more seriously than he did with Tapruan. And I think the X factor here is obviously most people are going to pick Petch, and I think that's the correct way to look at it. But there is an X factor here. Is are we going to pretend like if this goes to decision, there's a chance Petch wins? Like, let's be honest, right?
Well, I think the
Petch
other
needs a
thing
finish.
to think about is uh, Petch is going to have to like stay, what, 2 weeks, 10 days or something in a hotel. Not the best training environment.
Yeah, I suppose that it might play a little bit of a factor, but I think the way I look at it is I think Kento has a bigger chance of winning than people think, simply because Petch doesn't have like a super high KO ratio, and I think if it goes to the judges, there's a massive chance they just rob him and give
Hmm.
it to Kento.
Well, I hope
So,
not, simply because from a competitive standpoint, this is what I want to see. This is really good, really high level stuff. Crossing these barriers, it's awesome, and I hope nobody goes away thinking "fuck this, never do it again."
and are you drawing on any historical evidence on that, or I think it weighs in my camp if you're gonna be honest, right? Like,
Hmm.
do you trust the Teppen school, of judging to deliver justice to Petch if he wins the fight legitimately?
No, I do not.
Okay, that's all
But
I'm saying.
also, Kento is not part of the Target Gym, Teppen Gym axis of evil. He may be a champion, but he's not
I
the
don't know,
company
man.
man.
They're pushing him real hard. We'll
Well,
see. We'll see. I might be wrong, but I mean, if K1 would fuck KO over, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, is all I'm saying, if we get some weird judging on this one. But
hmm. Well, let's
it's going to be a
go.
great fight regardless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's go from one company man to another. The One of the surprises of the evening was Taiju Shiratori dropping a decision to Naoki, which I didn't see coming.
Yeah, no, we both predicted that Taiju would win easily, and he got the fuck beat out of him. I don't know what's going on with him. If he needs a longer layoff, or maybe that Kento loss really got to him. You know what I mean? Sometimes a loss can get in a fighter's head. Um, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I would have thought he could have beat Naoki pretty easily, and I mean, he got knocked down too, if I remember right. Like, it wasn't like a coasted decision. Like, he got beat pretty bad.
Yeah, so I hope. I mean, you can't keep giving him free Ryzen belts forever. So I don't know who his next Koji is going to be, but I hope he can get his confidence back.
Next coach. I don't know. I feel like we talked about this last time. I think Rise has kind of switched over to Kento now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if they
definitely.
care if Taiju makes it back anymore. They seem to have kind of abandoned him.
Yeah, but I hope for his sake he can find whatever he seems to have lost.
Oh, me too. I'm just saying it. I'm not sure they're gonna give him a give me fight. Is all I mean, because I feel like their focus is on Kento now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
we shall see.
But you have given us the perfect segue. A gimme fight. Benoit didn't stomp out the eat your vegetables diet PSA guy.
God, fuck that guy. Man, what the hell was that fight? Like, he's just walking forward, laughing like the Joker, getting punched in the face for 3 rounds. He didn't do anything but walk forward, but I mean, he still somehow managed to walk away with the moral victory, I think.
Yeah, and still somehow managed to get another fight on the next card. So there's a function to being wacky and combat sports in Japan, but it only goes so far. I suspect he's going to have a few moments of this kind of triumph of getting his ass beat, and then fades away to Karakuen Hall and then obscurity.
Yeah, I don't really know what more to add to it because he didn't really do anything.
No, I mean, maybe he's hiding some kind of fantastic skill behind getting punched in the face, but I suspect that he's probably not a great fighter.
Yeah, just kind of like you said, he's a meme fighter. Not much more else to say about that.
Yeah. So the other thing, K1 held their show. Noiri beat everybody's ass in what can only be
Hmm.
described as a complete and total victory for myself over Trashy Drake fan.
True,
Um,
true.
and even though
Hold
he
that L,
was,
Trashy.
yeah, even though he was like maybe dropping rounds to Rukia in the final, I think he showed like one, he's better, obviously, and two, maybe Rukia has gone up in weight a bit too quickly. Not sure he's really physically ready for some of these people. Um, so, I mean, the big surprise for me was not Ayinta Ali, but how well Matsuoka did.
He really impressed me. I thought he was just going to get flatlined the first
Yeah,
couple
I thought
seconds.
Rukia was just going to run right through him, but he made it a fight. And he's a guy who's a bit weird and wacky in his own way, but he's always saying like, if I lose my next fight, I'm going to retire. And after this, he was like actually pretty hardened by like his own performance, and was pretty proud of himself and should be. It was pretty spirited stuff, and probably played at least some small role in Noiti winning.
Yeah, I mean, he took him 3 rounds, right? So that's a lot of extra ring time that he had going into that final.
Yeah,
But I think that was counterbalanced by the fact that is it Suarez or
yeah.
whatever his
Alan
name is?
Suarez.
Oh my God. It's sad, man. It's sad because it doesn't bring me any joy that we were that right because it's so obvious what they're doing. Take a guy who's not very good, who's kind of old, bring him in because he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't speak the language. Um, he has multiple head kick losses and give him to the guy that's really good at a head kick. And boom, he was down from a head kick in what, 10 seconds?
Yeah, was it like the first strike of the fight?
It was the
Maybe
first strike,
maybe
yeah.
there was a jab, but it was like,
Maybe. He just walked up and did the switch kick and that was it. It's just like, holy fuck. Like, come on.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
that was bad.
I hope that they have learned a lesson from this, and that lesson is if you have your eyes on a fight and you're sticking it in a tournament, be careful what you wish for. And I hope that they apply that to Akihiro Kaneko and Masashi Kumura in the near future, and just make that a normal title fight instead of, finding a bunch of guys that don't belong there.
No, totally. We said that last time. It should have just been Noiri versus Anpo for the title on its own. There was no reason to make it a tournament, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through everything, but
No, we don't have time
Hasumi
for that. Yeah.
Hasumi got his ass beat by a young karate devil, and then
Yep.
immediately had a fight arranged with another.
Holy fuck, man. Can we talk about that for a second?
Oh yeah,
Why do they hate this guy so much? So for people who don't know, Hasumi, I think he was 9-9 in the devil sport. So he wasn't exactly a world beater in that either. And he's crossed over to kickboxing rather late in his career. And he had some pretty good performances in the beginning. He has an unbelievable hook. He knocked a few guys out that probably he should have lost to. And then they gave him like let's go through the list. They gave Masahisa, they gave him Ryuka. Who else did they had another one, I think, too, that they just sent him out to die.
I don't
And then
remember,
now,
but now Yuki Yoza.
holy fuck, man. Yuki Yoza, for those who don't know, is the 6th lightweight world champion for Kyokushin Kaiken, the biggest Kyokushin organization. He's been fighting in Rebels and Knockout, and he's, I think, 9-2. I think that's his kickboxing record. But the 2 losses he has, at least in my opinion, he got robbed of a decision, at least in one of them for sure. I think he beat Suzuki pretty obviously and got robbed, but um, he's really good. Like, he already has like 3 downs in kickboxing with Rolling Thunders from the clinch somehow. He like pushes them away, rolls into the Tsukamoto roll and drops them from clinch. My God, he's never say never, right? Hasumi has a crazy good punch. He is really powerful, not very technical, but so there's a chance he could catch him and drop him. There's a 1 in 100 chance. but 9 times out of 10, Yuki Yoza is going to beat the fuck out of this guy. And that's his third or fourth karate cut in a row that he had no business being in there with. And he's coming off of an absolute ass whipping from Ryuka not that long ago. And they're already throwing him back in with another mismatch. I don't know what he did, if he pissed off Nakamura somehow, but my God.
Yeah, he has
Dude,
not had an
no.
easy road. Like he had the unexpected win against Fumiya Osawa, and since then it's just been like, hey, how about getting your ass kicked?
You have too many teeth, don't you? We got the job for you. What the fuck, man? It makes no sense.
And okay, going down this list, stuff I care about. Akihiro Kaneko, very unsurprisingly, absolutely killed Koki.
That's another one. What the fuck did Koki do to these guys, man? Why would you do that to him?
Yeah, like aside from the fact he probably belongs in the weight class below, Kaneko already beat the shit out of him previously, already like way, way, way above him in the pecking order. It's just like, I mean, this is a guy you would think would get some shine from being, best boys with Takaru, but no, they just sent him out there to die, and die he did.
Yeah, I mean, another massacre. I don't quite understand the point of this, but yeah.
Yeah, and there was another massacre, which is due to being a late replacement. So Toma beat Yusuke, not a surprise. Yusuke was supposed to fight 2-0 Yuta Matsuyama, but due to COVID, instead fought one of the best guys in the division. And, real bad luck there. So maybe they give him a soft touch next. I don't know. But, sucks for him.
I
Good
don't.
for Toma.
Do they ever give soft touches to these guys anymore? Holy fuck.
Well, I mean, it depends if the show is in your hometown or not.
True. That does play a factor.
Gunji versus Nimi was great, as expected.
Mm-hmm.
Gunji is now main eventing the next show, and you have the opportunity here to do your samurai joke.
It's a nice segue into that. Well, it's just funny because they did the art for it, and they're all in samurai getup. And it's just I was reading some stuff about the Taiko, Hideyoshi Toyotomi. I'm really into Sengoku Jidai history, and I knew a lot about it, but I didn't actually know this part of it. So he had the 7 spears of Shizugataki, his bannermen that fought for him, and he gave them that nickname. And what I didn't realize, and I read recently, was that Masanori Fukushima, who's considered like the leader of this group, fucking hated the nickname, hated being called the 7 spears of Shizugataki. And I thought, man, what a brilliant segue, because Nakamura is always saying, these Crush fighters, these K1 fighters, they're real modern day samurai, and he gives them names like Crush, Crushing the Crusher, and the Crushing Crush. It's always something Crush in their nickname. So just like the samurai, they have shitty haircuts and nicknames they desperately don't want. So they truly are the modern day samurai. Thank you, Nakamura. You fucking nailed it.
Oh man. Now we get to the people's main event. Satoshi Ishii versus Ryo.
Don't fucking say his name, god damn it. Fuck. I cannot believe it. 3 times. 3 fucking times I picked every fight right up until Ryo Aitaka stumbles his fat ass into the ring and fucks it up for me. Are you kidding me? You have to fight a judoka who can't even throw a jab, and you still fucking manage to lose. I'm never picking him again.
In his defense, I thought he won
God,
after 3. I think he thought he won after 3, and then when they announced the extension round, he spent an entire minute in his corner just crying and hugging his cornerman because they knew exactly what was about to happen. He was going to lose again, and there was nothing he could do to stop it.
I don't understand what the fuck happened to this guy. This is the guy who put Cena into another dimension. He can't seem to find that. I know he always just has the overhand and he's out, but he didn't even try that. He didn't throw a single overhand. He walked forward and just kind of pitter-pattered his gloves. He was terrified of Ishii. Oh my God, man. We were 2 for 2 on the picks we disagreed on. We split it. We each got 2 right of the 4 we disagreed on. And it's all because of fucking bro I talking. Fucked me again. Man, go home to your idle wife and just fuck off and stay out of the ring, man. I was so pissed. That's 3 fights in a row that he should have won easily, and he fucked it up.
And
Oh my God. We're not
also,
fucking talking. I don't want to fucking talk about Roy Taka ever again, okay? Fucking next topic.
no, no, no. There's one more thing to say, which is if anybody out there is listening and you know of some famous Japanese models, please can somebody marry Ishii so he can also fuck off? He sucks. I
Yes,
don't want to
please.
see him
That was
again. And
terrible.
like I know Abema have like down to the second metrics for this stuff. They know how many people are watching exactly which parts. There is zero fucking chance that they looked at the metrics and were like, we got to get this guy back. But that is exactly what they have done against maybe the second worst person in the division. Like, please, God, just rescue me from this hell. I feel especially bad. Like, I've changed time zone now, so it's slightly more socially acceptable. But if it's like 4 in the morning and you're watching this like square-headed Lego man just fucking plod around doing nothing, God.
And he had a massive weight advantage too. And it was weird because you have these 2 hulking behemoths of men with huge muscles on their arms. You know, Aitaka has many massive KOs on his record, and they both just like very timidly, terrified of each other, circled and low kicked for 4 rounds. It's unfucking believable.
Yeah, and they saw that and thought, well,
Let's do that again. That was fucking great.
yeah,
Abema, everyone. Fuck's
my
sakes.
God. Hirotaka Asahisa absolutely wiped out Momotaro, who has had a bad time coming over from one. It was
I
cool.
feel bad for him, man. Momotaro's good, but I don't know what the hell is going on, but he's just getting massacred out there.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, like, maybe that's just, luck of the draw. This one, not so much shame getting wiped out like this, but to get wiped out twice in a row and have essentially like nothing of value added to your highlight reel. There's nothing they can show of him for a next fight that is positive. It is almost exclusively just footage of him getting his ass beat and falling unconscious.
Same punch too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Left hooks.
it may just be a hole in his game that's being exploited now, but
I mean,
I
he's
think the
got kind of a
crossover from
weird,
one is
like,
hurt.
upright stance kind of thing. So maybe, but, there are always plenty of bad fighters that K1 can find. So if they want to rehabilitate the guy, they can, but I don't know if they do.
I would suspect they don't want to, because having a guy from one who is really high come over to their org and get smashed out probably in their mind makes them look good.
Mm.
But that would be my guess. Yeah, the transition from, because I think he fought with like 4 ounce gloves too
Yeah,
a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
times in one. I think that's a rough adjustment for him right now.
Well, I think also, like, no elbows is, if that's part of your game and that disappears, that is a big
Well,
adjustment to make.
I mean, he's getting fucking massacred at a range outside of elbows. So like, I don't even know if he could have got close enough, you know, without eating shit against Hirotaka. I find it interesting that Hirotaka has really found his power.
Mm.
Both him and his brother, because I followed their careers since they were very young, and they've always been like decision fighters, like really technical, front kick you in the face a million times, trip you up. They were never the kind of guys to chase KOs super hard, and blast people out. But lately, they've really come into their power as they've hit their mid 20s,
Yeah, I think
and
Tayo,
I love
especially,
to see
like,
it.
moving up has really helped him.
Yeah, and he fucking goes for it now, like
Oh, yeah.
hard. Like against Hasumi, he was all over him. Like the moment he saw blood in the water, he jumped on it. He didn't used to do that. So good to see that evolution.
Yeah, and also in the Hiroki fight when, like, I mean, everyone knows, when he absolutely killed him with the kick, but also got a standing down.
Yes,
Uh,
just throwing bombs.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the guy was just fencing response completely, like not there whatsoever, just out on his feet. Anyway, I've ruined the other segue. So if we went from Ishii to Urabe losing to Catfish, we could have done
Oh
a
my
famous wife
God.
thing. So like Hirotaku Urabe, just please stop embarrassing yourself. Just run a blog with your rich wife and, enjoy life. You can't
What
be
could
getting
even be
much
the
fun
point
out of.
at this juncture? Like I can't imagine he needs the money.
Well, I can imagine he needs the money. I mean, he's a kickboxer. There's,
But doesn't he have a rich wife? Is
well, yes,
that just a
but
manhood thing? I gotta make my own keep by kicking people in the balls for $500. I think it really sucks too because I actually thought because I did a career highlight on Hirotaka on my YouTube, and I actually think the first catfish fight was actually one of his best and like sort of a shining moment in his career. So to see him lose a run back on that sucked. I didn't like seeing that. And it didn't feel earned because it's like, okay, congrats, catfish, you got your revenge. Kind of like you couldn't even really knock him out brutally or anything. The ghost of Hirotaka. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
he
It's
he
like
really is not
whatever.
invested in this stuff. Doesn't care to make
Not at all.
weight. Doesn't care to fight. Still great at fouling. Like
Still a master dick kicker.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe power is not the last thing to go. Maybe it's the ability to kick people in the groin.
Please don't fight again. Is all I'll say on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, it's kind of sullying
For
in
both of
other
them,
ways.
catfish, fuck off, go away. Catfish, go sing weird songs with Sarah and cuck Kubo and just fuck off and leave kickboxing, please.
Mhm. So Daizo Sasaki was in a good fight, uh, but now he's in this
Yeah, what
awkward.
the hell?
He's in an awkward position now. Like him and Yamazaki are best buds. When Yamazaki got his knee kicked apart, the guy who picked him up and like piggybacked him everywhere is Daiso Sasaki. Like they're real close, and now the only fight that makes sense for him and that he's earned is a title fight, and I don't think he wants it, which I respect the hell out of, but uh, I don't know what they do with him. But yeah, I think Kenta Hayashi just brings it out of everybody. Does not have bad fights, uh, and I love him.
No, it was a great fight. For once, I wasn't bored to fucking tears watching Daiso Sasaki. Um, Interesting point you say on they're good friends. Let's remember, K1's the organization that had two brothers fight twice while their crying parents, wept and while they're watching the fight from the stand. So I don't think K1 has any qualms about trying to force that. It's whether they'll take it, but it seems like everybody just takes every fight, even if it makes no sense. So again, I would love to know if there's a clause in their contract that says they can't refuse fights because there's been some weird ones, right? Where we're like, why is this guy just continuously allowing himself to be sacrificed? Like,
Hmm.
his coach should just say no.
Yeah, I don't know what the
So that's what
deal
I
is.
suspect.
I think,
But
and I'm not going to name names, but I think there are some people who are expertly gaming the system and like taking fights, but then nearer to the date, saying they have had contact with a COVID case and can't make it. And then I think that's the move these days.
huh, I wonder who you're talking about. Yeah. So, but I talked about that last time, right? If I was their coach, their sensei, whatever, and there was that clause in the contract that said you absolutely can't refuse fights. Such an easy out. Yeah, he rolled his ankle. What? Yeah, yeah, I was there. He tripped. What the fuck are they what are they gonna say? They can't force him to fight injured. So there's always a way out of it.
I don't know if this is like, just tough guys being tough, wanting to fight, but like I remember when Leona was supposed to fight the rematch against Rukia's brother. Before the fight, he got hit by a car and like thrown. I think it was like 10, 20 feet or something, and thought he may never fight again. And he was like apologizing for for pulling out of the fight after getting like smashed by a car. And
Fuck.
yeah, like, well, I mean, 5 months later he fought Tayo again and won, but like he seriously thought his career might be over, and his the reaction in the press was not like, oh, I've been like seriously injured due to something that's not my fault. It was, I'm really sorry about this. Like, what an inconvenience to the other guy, to the promotion. It's, I don't know. Clearly there is a lot of power concentrated in the hands of people who are not the fighters, but yeah, I don't know if it's just like a fight culture thing, or simply that they can make life difficult for you in other ways if you don't take fights.
Wait, so I have a question about that. So Leona got hit by a car, probably walking out in the middle of the street, knowing him and how,
No, you. So the
absent-minded he is.
details of this are he was on a bike, and Kona was on I think it was a motorcycle. And there was it was at night, and the car did not have its lights on, and he got T-boned and like flung.
Okay.
So Kona was actually injured worse, but Leona got hit first and like thrown. I don't remember what the distance was, but it was something insane. He's
And
somehow
that
didn't
car
break
got
any
in
bone.
trouble, and Kosuke Komiyama broke the window and saved them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Is
like,
that the chronology of events here that Leona Pettis caused that whole scenario to start? Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
but yeah, I mean that must have scared the shit out of him as well with the Koichi Pettis stuff. But
Yes. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, yeah, because that's exactly how he died. Fuck. Man, the Pettis curse, eh? They just stop riding bikes, guys. Fuck.
so the real people's main event outside of Satoshi Ishii
The
was,
other one, I guess.
yes,
Fuck.
the good one was Sina Karimian prevailing in his war against the villain.
I told you he would. Yes.
I'm so glad to be wrong in this case. Like, Kyotaro is he is kickboxing Satoshi Ishii. He's very boring. He is not good to watch in boxing or kickboxing. They were clearly angling to make Ishii versus Kyotaro, and here's
Oh my
Cena to
God.
throw a.
Why the fuck would you angle for that? Why would you want that to happen? What the fuck is wrong with them? Bringing it back, the fentanyl, man, it's everywhere. Holy shit. Why would you want Ishii versus Kyotaro? They are going to stare at each other longingly while circling for fucking 5 rounds. I'll add an extra extension for that because a strike won't be thrown. What the fuck?
It's very funny that they have these divisions, which are essentially human coin tosses, where
This is the whole cruiser division.
yeah, and then they put this thing on top of it, and it's like, well, cruiserweights worked out okay. We get these highlight knockouts, and then they find just the two worst possible people in the world when your product is based on these shareable clips on social media. Just these boring, hulking old guys that suck.
Yeah, but I apologize. I can't remember what his name is, but he fought Kyotaro and lost, and then he won via vicious head kick.
Yes,
But
yes.
the
Kosuke
fight,
Chitsutaka, I think.
okay, thank you, Kosuke. So yeah, that head kick went semi-viral, right? But the lead up to that moment was like 10 minutes of nothing happening. But I think the way they look at it is, well, they got the clip, right? So they don't give a shit that 10 minutes of nothing happened because the social media is only going to clip 4 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the angle they're going with. I just want to say, I think Cena is a half decent fighter. We meme on him. A lot of people meme on him. I think he's a half decent fighter. He just has absolutely terrible defensive instincts. And I think there was a marked improvement in both his hand placement and his ability to move out of the way and not just stand there. And I think working with Pettis is helping him a lot because working, with people who are 3 foot tall hobbits was not going to help him get better defensively when they can't even reach his head.
No,
So him
I
working
think,
with Pettis and his crew is helping a lot. I think I saw improvement
yeah.
from him against Kotaro.
But I also think it is unfair to hold any of these people to the standards that you would hold other fighters to. I think the standard you should hold Cena to is that he has never had a boring fight. There's always something incredibly stupid or incredibly funny happening. He's an entertaining fighter. He might not be the best guy in the world. Like, if you stick him over in Glory, yeah,
Oh
he
no, not a
loses some
chance.
knockouts and disappears. Like, this is the perfect place for him. He would not exist elsewhere. He would just be a guy who lost two or three in a row and disappeared. Like, here, he can be celebrated for what he is, a master of comedy.
Yeah, I'm sad he didn't fuck Kyotaro. He only won a decision, but it was still great. I'm wondering if you caught it, but he did throw a spinning back fist in the third round. So he went back on his word. Kyotaro pissed him off enough that he did do it. He didn't hit him with it, but I thought that was interesting that he didn't throw it for the first two rounds. I was like, wow, he's really gonna stick to that. And, oh no, there it goes.
Yeah. Well, he's still hunting Kyotaro on social media. He saw like he's
Good.
asking for his Spider-Man costume. Um so I don't know, maybe he will get the clothes off him and get the
He can't
opportunity to
fit
fuck
that.
him.
What does he want it for? Um, here's the question though. Do we do Cena versus KG12? Like, what does he do now? Who fights him next?
Probably Mahmoud Satari, which
Oh, right. I keep forgetting. Yeah,
yeah,
because
we
I
keep
I sort
forgetting
of write him
there's a
off as a
guy
crush
who
fighter.
like looks like an athlete and has, like good skills and like positive attributes.
I have a bad habit of sort of categorizing fighters in my mind as like crush versus mainline card people because they sometimes will sort of relegate people to that role.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would make sense now that Satari is the crush champ to have him fight for the title against
Yeah, he said he
Cena.
has
That would be
no
a good fight.
problem fighting him, even though they're both from the same country. But Satari is fighting Animal Koji, which I expect to go very badly.
I mean, we make fun of it and say it's meme weight, but here's the task, right? With the roster they have, how do you make a fight that's not a meme fight? Like I can't think of one. They're all meme fights.
Yeah,
There's
like I
nothing
said,
you can do.
it's human coin toss, and I think that it should be embraced and taken in the spirit that is intended. It is not like the pinnacle of competition in combat sports, especially at this weight, but it is very funny.
Yeah, no, it's as long as they go fast, I enjoy them. But man, the actual heavyweight division, not cruiserweight, but the actual heavyweight is just so brutal.
Yeah.
I'm so sad they brought that in. Anyway,
But yeah, so the card that has Satari versus Animal Koji also has Crush Champ Nimi, who fought Gunji. He's fighting Shinotsuka, who was supposed to be on this card, but pulled out for I don't know what reason. But he's looked horrifically boring in his last fight. So I don't know if this is punishment or what, but yeah, he gets a
this
crush.
one really threw me for a loop. Is this is a title fight, right?
I
Or is
haven't.
this
I
one of their
cannot
non-title?
confirm that, but I believe it is.
How, okay, like what? How
Yeah,
the fuck does that guy lose to Ozawa? And yeah, he won air quotes, but he fucking lost that fight. It was terrible from both of them, but he didn't win. And then he gets a title shot.
yeah.
There
Not
are people who have multiple wins who just get fucked over. They're like, we're not giving you a title shot. Go fight Anpo. Fuck off. That's their response to them. Why does this guy, this newcomer to the organization, who looked awful in his last fight against Ozawa, who's not had a good run recently, why does that net him a title shot?
Yeah, I can't
That doesn't
tell
make any
if it is
sense
favoritism or punishment. It could conceivably be either.
either. So, with Gunji having won, wouldn't it make sense for him to get it?
Well, Gunji is fighting for the K1 title.
Right. I guess they're just going to skip him right over the Crush stuff because he won. But you see what I'm saying? Like this two-tiered Crush and K1 system
I
It
think
gets
it
fucking
is
weird.
particularly weird at the moment because
Yeah, because they're just gonna skip him over the Crush title and give it the title shot to someone who doesn't deserve it
yeah, I mean
because
previously
well
they'd
he's
be
going to
able
K1.
to like supplement both the Crush and K1 shows with these like one and done guys that they take from elsewhere. Now that you can't do that, like the K1 cards have increasingly felt like they're just shuffling the same deck of cards and like getting very similar levels of fights out of them. Like Crush has not felt good for this past year, and this is the
No,
first
yeah.
time that it is like a good Crush card finally appearing again.
No, I felt that way too. I usually really look forward to Crush, but most of the Crush cards I've actually skipped some of them because they were so bad. But I guess when I think about it for a second, Crush does already have a history of that. Because you'll remember when Leona was on that huge run leading up to the Takaru fight, Naoki Yamamoto got a title shot against him in Crush for seemingly no reason.
Yeah, it's not
So
unusual for weird
it's
title
not that
fights.
unusual. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think
so
Naoki was coming off a loss too. Yeah.
who knows? It is a mysterious thing. And well, let's talk about the next K1. They've announced some stuff today. They've announced some
Yep.
stuff previously. Where you want to start on this one?
I actually want to start with a question to you because you sort of do that back end stuff and understand a bit more how Abema works and the minds of the suits, so to say, that I
Uh-huh.
don't. Is there some like do people tune in to these press conferences? Why do they sprinkle out the announcements so much?
So some of it, I'm pretty sure, is just like dueling with Rise, trying to steal headlines.
Okay.
So K1, the parent company, when Gong Kaktogi, the magazine, went out of business, they bought it up. So theoretically, it belongs to a company called Japan Content Management or something, but it runs out of the same building as
Very
K1.
vague. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, like if you find the address of the building the K1 office is in and just Google it, like there's just so many weird random businesses that are all connected to K1 that all like run through this single building. So the guy, I mean, I spoke to Luke about this. I don't know if I mean he was only joking about it, but maybe someday in the future I'll talk about the allegations about the money man behind K1. But essentially, he's got kind of a shady past, kind of a shady family potentially, but he's a real estate guy. So the big sponsor you see on the gloves, TRHD, Tokyo Restaurant Holdings, that's him. The ring girls, the ring interview people, all belong to a model agency owned by him. There's like almost zero organic sponsorship of K1. It is almost exclusively like his own companies, and I don't know if it's like shoveling money between them to make it look like there is turnover or what, but it's very strange. It is like this weird island unto itself. As for do people watch these things? I think they seem to have two tiers of things. So when they have an announcement with people that they think are good for the algorithm, they put it on Abema. So you may have noticed that two of the announcements were on YouTube, and this one today, which had Kimura and Satoshi Ishii and like Kizemon Saiga, like the kind of famous wife tier guy. They seem to be putting
Right.
those on Abema. So as for how many people watch it, probably not that many, but I guess it gives them. I don't know how. Maybe they just have a contract where they are owed like a live press conference, and they just do one of them. But yeah, I do suspect that some of it is just because with Rise, they seem to be running basically the same arenas, if not then arenas in the same area in the same kind of time period. And they just have this back and forth with announcements.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. The rise angle of trying to steal headlines. Because to me, I was just looking at it as I doubt anybody actually gives a shit about the press conferences or watches them. So I didn't see the point of sprinkling out the announcements over like five
Yeah.
press conferences over a month. It just seemed excessive, but I guess they're playing chicken with Rise. That makes sense.
Mm. So let's go for the top. So Kimura is back, and he's also immediately leaving.
Yep, that's. I thought he was done for sure with this whole tactical airsoft shit and sort of walking away from it. And he disappeared from a lot of places. Like, didn't he leave Purge as well?
I think so. I mean, he's posted this training video now of him in what is clearly a boxing gym, but he also unlisted all of his YouTube videos and then um, just was not training and looked like he was off steroids and was like getting
Yeah, he
thinner.
got a lot smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's, getting back on them, but they're saying that this is his last kickboxing bout, and the way the wind's blowing, I think I don't know if he wants to challenge himself and see if he could do something in boxing, or if it's just that having a middling career in boxing probably pays more than having like
Right.
a pretty pronounced but stupid career in kickboxing. I don't know, but
But that would make sense why he's getting off the roids and getting smaller, right? If he's going to transition to boxing, which probably actually does test unlike K1.
yeah, I mean, I can't speak to how rigorous the testing under the Japanese Boxing Commission is, but I've seen headlines about
Got to be
failed
better
drug
than
tests.
zero,
So
right?
yeah, so I do suspect that that played a part in it. And I don't know. There's been rumors about him for a while, and it like one of the rumors was just that he was getting divorced.
Yep, I saw that.
Because like all of his YouTube videos are with his wife. So, like, I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he needs one last payday, and he's negotiated this, like, tactical exit. Because the way people, quite often do it is just to wait out the contract. And he's not young anymore. I think, that's a pretty unattractive option, especially if you want to go to a different sport. But um, I don't think MMA promotions are beating his door down with offers. So I do suspect it's boxing after this.
I just want to say that that is a terrible idea for him to go to boxing. He has what, 9 KO losses, and even in the fights that he doesn't lose by KO, he gets dropped a lot. Um, I don't know if with the amount of damage he's taken to his head already, I'm not sure boxing with how bad his defense is a great idea.
Yeah, I think the
But
first guy who is better than him that he faces would win, but the kind of guys that are at the bottom rung, he can still blast some weirdos out.
no, I'm sure he can because he has insane power. I'm just saying, like long term, it seems like a really bad idea with someone. Man, like I can't, it, I can't think of many people who have as many KO losses as him. People are so used to seeing him blowing out people that have no business being in there with him. I don't think a lot of people have gone through his whole career. Like I'm not exaggerating when I say he has 9 KO losses. I think that's actually how many he has, and they're fucking brutal. Where he's getting slept hard. Like I don't know if his health can take another 5, 10 years, whatever he plans to do in boxing, even if it's just being a journeyman. I'm just saying, I like there are fighters like Yuki Kondo in the Devil Sport who has like 100 plus fights with less KO losses. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a little concerning.
I suspect whatever he does next is not for the long term.
Well, let's hope for his last remaining brain cells. Yeah.
Yeah, even the fights that he wins, quite a lot of those he gets dropped in.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, against Abiral, he got dropped hard. Even fights, he lost but didn't get knocked out. Against Kubo, he got dropped.
Yeah, Kaisei
Uh,
Kondo put him on his ass.
yeah, he got kneed hard and looked like he was out, and that's a fight he won. And then you add on the times that he did get knocked out, which is 9 times. It's a lot. He's taken an extraordinary amount of damage for someone his age.
Yeah, and even though he's beat Wajima twice by knockout, Wajima is an insane outlier in this division in that he's not just a guy with zero technique, just bombing on people. He can hurt people with basically any strike, and I think it is a dangerous fight for a guy with a foot out of the door and maybe not been training so much recently to take, even with the confidence that he knows he can beat him.
I mean, it's hard to pick Wajima just because he did lose twice to him already, but um, I'm not sure what to make of that fight because Minoru's been gone so long and seems to have shrunk back to normal size. I don't know what to make of that fight. I think we'll know the first 30 seconds of the fight. We'll know what's about to happen.
Hmm. Well, yeah. So, I mean, we already kind of spoke about it. Ishii is back, and they've given him maybe the second worst guy in the
Oh,
division outside of the old karate man with the weird haircut. Rui is the guy you put in if you want
oh, that
someone to
guy.
get a
Yeah.
knockout win. Yeah.
So here's the question, because obviously K1 is all about the KO, right? It's its own sport. It's not kickboxing, it's K1. And they're pushing Ishii very hard. Are they going to tolerate him not doing anything? Because we talked about with the guy who got the head kick, they can forgive 10 minutes of nothing because they got their little montage clip at the end. Ishii is not going to give them that. How long are they going to tolerate him doing nothing and getting boring decisions before they say, all right, fuck this?
Well, he might achieve that against Rui because Rui has a really bad chin and is not a good fighter.
Yeah, man, Rui, it's another guy that's like, man,
Yeah, if they have
why are
to
you
give
here?
if they have to give him an extra round decision win, then I bet you see him next at K Festa 5 in another cross weight class fight against Satari, who will absolutely murder him.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
Yeah, if they want a KO highlight reel out of the guy and he doesn't provide it in this fight, it's coming at his expense next.
Right. Yeah, they won't tolerate this for too long. Rui is another guy where you could say that he gets fed to the wolves, right? Kind of like some other fighters, but the problem is this. I can't think of a single fighter that he could fight that I would pick him to win.
No, no.
I can't think of anybody I'd think he'd win against, so you can't really blame K1 for this one because I legitimately can't think of a fighter that Rui could beat.
Well, I can. It's just guys that I've seen him beat.
I wouldn't even pick him in the rematch after seeing his last two. That's what I'm saying. Like, who would you pick him to beat? I guess the 40-year-old karate guy that
That's
they
exactly
with
who
the
I was
bowl
going to
cut,
say. And outside of that, I could not
Justin
pick a
Bieber
single.
old edition.
Yeah,
I guess that would be it. Yeah,
yeah.
fuck.
So there's
I
a.
feel bad for him, man. What is he supposed to do? You know, I,
Well, I
I
mean,
would retire if I was him, but
his career before this is as a trombone player, which I suspect is not paying the bills
now people play
either.
the trombone on his head.
Yeah. So there's another cruiserweight fight, which actually is not that bad.
I'm already laughing. I don't even know which one it is. And I'm already laughing.
KG versus Seiya Tanigawa.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to defend this. The trash man came at me and on Twitter. I will defend this one. I think this is a good fight. And again, you can look at it as a meme fight because it's cagey. But realistically, I feel like this is a fair matchup that's more balanced. And with the shit show that is that weight class, I think this is the best fight they could make. And again,
Yeah, I think
this is finally one I'm not sure who's going to win.
it makes sense for both guys. Tanigawa has showed some promise, but with a lot of rough edges. Like Satari beat him, but he's kind of very obviously not a guy who belongs in the lower rungs of the division. You know, Satari has huge power. KG has power for 3 minutes. He's a 70-kilo fighter sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts, and I think it's a good test for him. Like, Tanigawa has showed that he, has some skill, has some power, but has, these shortcomings. Is the chin a problem, or is it just a case that Satari was just, too much, too soon, too hard, too fast? If he can survive 3 minutes against KG, then it shows that he's got, something in his arsenal, something, defensively speaking. And yeah, I just think it's, you know, outside of the initial shock of seeing those two names, and like laughing because KG is KG, it's actually something that makes sense and, has some competitive intrigue from, a reasonable direction, not just here are these two like human elephant seals slamming against each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Tanigawa, actually can throw combinations and pace himself and kind of work people down. There is a question mark on his chin. I think we've kind of answered that it is the case that he doesn't have a great chin. KG has a lot of power. I don't know if I agree with your, talking about, KG's good for 3 minutes and then you're golden. I actually have found that a lot of the time KG gets the fucking piss beat out of him and then miraculously comes back with a one shot KO, in the second round. That seems to me like that's happened a couple times. Like he fought that fucking Roai Taka. Did he not fight him and get his ass beat for a round and almost was out on the third down and then came back to win it? I remember that.
That
Um,
sounds true too. I
I think
think.
that's one of the times he fucked me over when I picked him. That's why that's stuck in my brain.
Yeah, I guess
So
I guess maybe I'm unfairly weighting his fights against Cena.
Cena, yeah, I think was an outlier because he blew Cena out, and then the same thing happened again. But then he got no can defend. But most of his fights, he's sort of a. I apologize for comparing him to him, but Hayashi of he needs to get punched in the face to wake up, and sort of he has a lot of comeback wins.
Mm.
But you're right, he's dead in the water in the third round. But Tanigawa's bet is to use his combinations, kick the leg a lot, and just don't engage in the brawl. I legitimately don't know who's going to win.
Yeah, I think it's like an unusually competitive matchup for the division.
Yeah, trashy.
But what is not a competitive fight whatsoever is Lukia versus Kaito.
Oh my god, Kaito. That's another guy they fucking hate.
He's also another
Why?
guy from the other side.
True. But I feel like the last couple times I've seen Kaito, he got beat up pretty bad. Like, didn't he, Kona beat him up pretty bad.
Yeah, Ayinta Ali knocked him out.
Yep.
Yeah, he's taken quite a lot of knockout
He was
losses.
I think at one point he was going to be in one of those tournaments and dropped out. Um, but yeah, that's another guy they seem to feed him to the wolves. I don't think I've ever seen a fight where he wasn't just getting splattered.
Yeah, he's just a guy who happens to be at a weight that they don't have enough guys at.
Yeah, he's always fed.
So we also in another wife guy fight have uh, the wrong Kumada fighting Saiga. The Kumadas like don't use social media much at all, so it's impossible to know if his brother
For
is just
them.
gonna, disappear and suddenly pop up in another organization or something in a few months. But his brother needs to fight Kanako, and he does not need to fight Saiga. I really don't need to see this.
No, me neither. So again, we're both old and decrepit, but the last fight we saw from Saiga was him getting kicked in the groin, right? He hasn't had a fight since then.
No, that is the last fight that he. So his
So okay,
entire K1 tenure is having an exhibition fight with Takaru that nobody cared about, that then delayed an
oh,
actual
that's
important
right.
fight, and then
I
getting
knew I'd
kicked in
seen
the
him before.
nuts.
Yeah, right. No, I knew there was one we were forgetting before, but I'm glad you remember that. Yeah, but that wasn't a fight. That was just an exhibition versus Takaru, and then the no contest win versus Hirotaka. I think that actually counted as a win on his record.
Yeah,
And then now this one.
yeah.
So
So
we still haven't really seen him do anything. We don't really know where he's at since coming back from the double sport. I don't expect much, but
no, no. And like Shuhei is less good than his brother, but I fully expect
good
him to
enough
win
to beat
this.
Saiga pretty convincingly.
Yeah. So also, I think probably The fight that is probably going to be the most shared on Twitter with clips is Fukashi versus Kenta Hayashi.
Mm.
Fukashi, his chin is cracking to say the very least.
Yeah.
But he's like always very aggressive. And being very aggressive makes Kenta Hayashi very aggressive. So I suspect we get 90 seconds of knockdowns traded. And it'll be a good time.
Yeah, you say Fukashi's chin is cracked. I don't know. I think they're both, with all the knockdowns they've taken between them, you know what I mean? They got a full ER ward worth of head trauma between just the two of
Yeah,
them.
I mean, Hayashi's chin is literally cracked. Like, it broke in half against Tayo.
Yes. Yep.
But his whole thing is, like, getting hit in the face and falling over and then, like, smiling. Like, he seems to have a lot of fun getting his ass kicked, so...
Yeah, the interesting thing about that too is so Fukashi, since going to K1, has started training at Ideal Gym, and we've been talking a lot about Ideal Gym this year. So I went back and checked because last podcast I had said that I thought Ideal Gym didn't have a loss this year. They actually have one, and that was Fukashi versus Yamazaki. So I thought that was interesting to bring that up. So other than that, they're completely unbroken this year. And from the last event we just watched, they had two more fighters pick up wins again. I don't know that it's pretty late in Fukashi's career, and I think he's really struggled not being able to throw elbows. That was a big part of his offense in the other orgs he fought. And I don't think the rules of K1 favor him that much. I think Kenta will win this. But yeah, it'll be like Fukashi versus
Suzuki.
Damn it, thank you, Suzuki, where they traded knockdowns like 4 or 5 times in the span of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I think this is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I think the big delineation between these two guys is you can hit Hayashi as hard as possible, as much as possible. And if he has taken 2 knockdowns in a round, he will fight to the death not to take a third. Whereas Fukashi he's just not that sturdy. If it comes down to it, I suspect, if each guy has 1 knockdown, Hayashi is the guy getting the next 2 knockdowns.
Yeah, fair enough. I would agree with that.
What else is there? Gongnapa versus Saikyo, pretty good.
That's a great fight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to I just can't envision the two guys clashing, but 2 very proven guys. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a competitive fight in a good division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problems with that one. That's a good bounce back fight for Gonapar too. It's not a give me, but it's not throwing him immediately into a title shot rematch or anything crazy like that. That makes perfect sense, which is
rare.
Extremely odd for K1. Can someone write to them and make sure they're okay?
And so just proving that they're not above doing something stupid or crazy or just completely unpredictably awful is they're having an immediate rematch of their 53 kilogram tournament final. Both guys are champions in Crush and K1 respectively. Neither title is on the line. So if Miburo wins, then presumably the third fight will have to happen immediately for the title. So they will have fought each other 3 times, one after another after another. Why not just make this a title fight?
I can see sort of the wheels in their brain turning if they really want this fight to happen, but he just lost. So they can't give him a title fight. It's like, I know. Let's have them fight again for a non-title fight, and then have the title fight after that one. Oh my god, man!
Yeah, when they announced it, I was not paying attention, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Like 2 title fights on the card."
No, and I had to point that out to you that it wasn't. Yeah, because I always read the fine print now because I've been fooled by that a couple times. Where it's very obvious that should be a title fight, and it wasn't. Yeah, incredibly stupid. I expect Toma will win again easily. Dumb fight.
I don't know. I think like competitively it makes sense, but to make it non-title does not make
Well, he
sense.
just got killed by him. Why does
He
it
did,
make
but he just got
sense?
killed in like the final of a tournament where he was pretty beaten up by the time he got to the final. I think it makes sense to run it back, but if you're gonna do that, like put the title on the line. Otherwise, you just open the door to stupid shenanigans.
Well, to me, then, by that logic, what the fuck is the point of the tournament if you're gonna say, well, it's not legitimate because it was in the final? You know what I mean? Then why even do the fucking tournament?
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I think also the point of doing the tournament was that they have this new division and it sets the pecking order pretty clearly and easily. And realistically, who else do they have that can make a case for fighting Toma? Uh, you're going to give someone who did worse in the tournament?
I would. I don't think they immediately need to throw him into a title defense. Would be my answer to that. I
Well,
think
they
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 should have
haven't.
a fight.
So.
Fuck yeah, you got me there. I guess technically they haven't. Yeah, shit. You can sort of see the bizarre logic,
Yeah,
but I would have said if it was me running it, said he just won the tournament. You're the top dog now. You have a playoff. You have Miboru fight. Who else you would think deserves it, and then the winner of that gets the title shot. That to me is how a normal organization functions.
yeah, that would make sense, but
Why? What the fuck is the point of winning the tournament if you got to run it back with the guy you just beat in the final?
we are not in the sense-making business.
No, true. But you got me there. Technically, they aren't running it back for a title. That's good. That's good.
So the other completely nonsensical thing is surprisingly Leona Pettis is back.
I'm shocked by this. I had heard a lot that he was going to one. I had sources tell me that that's where he was looking and that he was trying to just wait out the end of his contract. I'm not sure what happened if they, came to a deal and that he's staying now or if this is him saying, "I'll give you your one last fight to get out of the contract." I really don't know what's going on because everything I heard about this turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, I think the contractual stuff is pretty opaque at the best of times. There seems to be a sponsor involved for the bout, which I cannot imagine is coming because somebody really loves Maki Chachai. So yeah, maybe with the addition of a big sponsor in his corner, that it makes more sense to stick around and not things with one are pretty shaky. Even without COVID, it is pretty clear if you just dig the slightest millimeter underneath the surface that they're not built on solid foundations, and I'm sure that this is not news to people in Japan either.
No, I suppose not. Um, I don't really know what to make of this fight. It's weird to come off of, the biggest fight that K1 has had, I think, since the new rebrand, post FEG or whatever you want to call it, with Leona versus Takeru to go to this where he's fighting sort of it's like a retired Tai.
Yeah,
Basically, that's the situation. To me, that strikes of like just fighting your contract out because I would think he deserves, a contender match if he's planning to stay long term. I don't know what to read into this other than maybe he's just trying to play out his contract. It's a weird bounce back fight after
yeah.
losing.
So that is completely possible. What he said at the press conference is there was one last guy that he wanted to fight at 60, but that guy got injured. Uh, I'm not a gambling man, but if I were to put money on it, I would say that was Hirotaka Asahisa. Possible outside chance that it was Yuki Egawa, but I don't think that's something that he was really eyeing up. I know he has wanted to fight the other Asahisa for a long time, and that he's now moving up a division because he is eyeing someone at 62.5, which again I would put money on being Taiyo Asahisa because he's the champ and Leona beat him twice. So I have been stalking Leona pretty excessively for the past year or so. So I can tell you that he has put on about 2 pounds of weight, and he is still maybe 10 pounds lighter than Yuki Egawa, who fights in the weight class below now. So, um, yeah, it's pretty hard to get a read on what he's doing and why. I know he's like incredibly driven and competitive, and you see that in Takeru landing one of, if not the best punch of his career on the guy. And like, yeah, the circumstances with the referee and the timing of the end of the round uh, meant that he was down but not out. But you see that this is a guy who he will fight to the death. He's incredibly driven, and I think seeing a guy that he's beaten twice get a title, and him having done essentially everything you can do in his previous weight class, it makes a certain kind of sense to move up. What doesn't make a certain kind of sense is this fight in particular. Maybe there was another guy who got injured, and this is a fill-in replacement. Like I said, I can't imagine that there was a bout sponsor that saw this fight and was like, oh yeah, I got to be in on this action. So maybe it was supposed to be something bigger and better. I don't know, but yeah, it's really bizarre. It's a stupid fight to make because if Leona wins, it does nothing for him, is completely devoid of context, is not even in an official weight class. It's this weird catch weight. If he loses, they ruin everything they built up by finally putting the Takeru fight together.
Yeah, that severely diminishes Takeru's win if he loses this fight, I think,
Yeah.
in most people's mind. Because then they'll be like, oh, maybe Leona was never that good after all. You know how fans are.
Mm-mm.
It's a stupid fight to make. I would just say, like, he got cracked so hard in the Takeru fight. I'm a little worried about his jaw
Yeah,
to
like
see if he
that's the
still has that
question,
iron
is
chin.
how much, if at all, that has diminished him. And yeah, I don't think you can you can take a shot like that and it have zero effect. So I
No,
don't
no
know.
chance.
And also, this is a guy who is bigger than him. He was small at the weight class below. I think Chachai, I don't know what he was fighting at in Thailand, but in Host Cup, I think he was 63, 65 maybe. He's clearly built a bit more solidly than Leona, who is, very skinny at the best of times. Yeah, I have no idea about any of this. I mean, the guy's a southpaw. There are very few of those. He's been training with Hayato Suzuki, showing off the bruises on his arms from getting like round kicked constantly in them. So, I mean, he's fought and beat southpaws before. In fact, I think he's beat every southpaw he fought. But uh, yeah, it's an impossible to predict thing, because even if you've seen footage of this guy, it's like, okay, now there are zero elbows. So if Leona wins, what does it mean? Well, nothing basically.
Nothing. Yeah.
If he loses, what does it mean? Well, who knows? But also, it means that he gets fucked over. But it also means that maybe his time is coming.
Yep. No, I expect Leona will win, but I'm not happy with the matchmaking.
No, I mean, the gut feeling and the instant reaction is, of course, Leona's going to win over a guy I've never heard of. But there's a weird dynamic coming into this. But I think the thing I want to actually discuss is, say that he does win. Say that he does like position himself in the weight class up. Do you think, like, what are his chances against Tayo these days? Because my gut reaction to that is that Tayo wins these days.
Ask me that again after we see Leona come back from getting his head smashed in. If his iron chin is still there, I would pick him to beat Tayo a third time. And there's very like specific reasons for that. Gonapar is nothing like Leona. I don't think you can draw much from that. And like I said in the previous podcast, both Asahisa's kryptonite is a just massive power puncher that can sort of walk through their fancy combos and just sling one. I don't think either Asahisa has like a granite chin, and that's hurt them in the past. That's exactly how Leona got him last time, is he was getting kicked in the face constantly, but just sort of walked through it and landed that one punch that sent Asahisa, traveling, and he was playing catch up after that. And Hirotaka Asahisa very recently lost that way against in China. Oh man, the guy also beat Koya Urabe.
Oh yeah, yeah. God, Zhao
Something. Yeah,
Zhao Chuai.
yeah, Zhao Chuai. And that happened the exact same way. Zhao Chuai walked him down, landed a huge punch that knocked Hirotaka down, and then Hirotaka got up, but now he's trying to play catch up and sort of gets taken out of his game, and he lost the exact same way that Taiyo lost to Leona. That is their kryptonite.
I think there
Um,
is a really interesting dynamic in the previous two fights with Tayo and Leona. Not saying there's a guarantee of a third, but like I used to look at Leona, and he does have this kind of weird flailing sometimes when he thinks or knows he has a guy hurt, and just all technique goes out the window, and it's just left, right, left, right, left, right. But there are, like, if you look at his fights with Tayo and his fight against Murakoshi, he he has ways where he is like very clearly thinking about how to get around underneath over the guard, and I think it's quite unusual because my initial impression of him is just that he swings wildly like a crazy person, and he does that sometimes, but there is sometimes method in the madness, and I forget if
no, he really
it's
uses his weird long arms.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the first or the second one, but there's a like a combo he landed on Tayo where just everything landed, and he was like feinting and shuffling and pushing him, and like kneeing him in the body, punches over the top, underneath. He's like he does some very strange stuff that nobody else does. In addition to like having the longest possible arms and wanting to fight in close. Um, and I don't know how that stacks up against people in this division. And, he's fought everybody below. So if he's not severely compromised by essentially getting knocked out and then having to fight and, still getting punched in the head, um, I think he's got some fun ones in him. But I think Tayo has made a lot of improvements since then. And yeah, I'd like to see it again, so long as Leona's
No,
not been uh, damaged too much.
I already had to deal with two of my favorites fighting twice. Please don't do this to me a third time. But if it does happen, like I said, there's very specific reasons why I think there's a good chance that Leona wins again, and I would pick him to win again. Assuming he's not shot after his last fight, he's built in a laboratory to counter what the Asahisas do, and they have a shared lineage that gives them inside knowledge on each other in a way
Hmm.
that other fighters don't. And the weird thing you're talking about with Leona sort of punching over the guard, there's sort of a weird thing that he did in Kyokushin that a lot of people do. Is sometimes you'll see where they're like forearm to forearm, they will almost reach around them and punch them in the kidney, and they come in on a weird angle where they're almost punching behind them. Leona has taken that concept and mastered it with just coming on weird angles around the guard to sort of punch behind your ear. And Tayo dips a lot. He has a very old school sort of boxing defense
Yeah,
that his
like pivot
dad
at the
taught him.
waist.
Yeah, he dips hard, and he'll even do like that you know kind of a half shoulder roll on one side, and he will and Hirotaka will do almost like a George Foreman style guard sometimes. And if you watch like his fight with Haruma, and that just plays so hard into what Leona does, and that's why he lost the first two times against Leona. I would think that would happen again, but I guess we'll see.
So I got to put you on the spot here. So there is something very obvious missing from the highlight that you made of Leona. Is this just because Tayo is also your boy, or
Yes, yeah,
I
I,
thought that
I
was
wasn't gonna
very
put that in the
conspicuous in its absence that you made a highlight of this guy and did not include him.
highlight. Well, at the time, nobody cared about Tayo and nobody knew about him. And I was pushing him super hard. And I think the highlights I made before that were on the Asahisas. Their dad was following me on Twitter. I was really trying to push them and get them a title shot. I believe that was before he finally got, his fight on the big time against Hayashi. So I think the context there is I was really, really pushing them and trying to help their dad out, get them out there. Now Tayo is like one of the favorites of the timeline and is getting pushed by K1. I would do it now, but there was sort of tactical reasons why I didn't at the time.
Tactical Father's Day.
Tactical. I don't want the Demon King the king of street fighting to beat the fuck out of me. That's what it is. Self-preservation. Their dad is terrifying. He's a great man, but he's terrifying.
Okay, and I think that is about everything I can think of, unless there is something I've missed.
That's a good question. There's been so many announcements lately. Um, I guess I would just say that Yamashina fought at Rise and looked really good, but I would put a asterisk once again on Kenta Nanbara. I still don't know what to make of him because his opponent came in fat as hell,
Yeah.
not looking good at all. The guy looked like he was just there for a payday. His corner threw in the towel almost immediately. I still don't know what to make of his kick. I want to see him fight someone for
Real.
real.
Yeah.
That's twice now he's gotten guys that looked horribly out of shape, that sort of rolled out of bed.
Yeah, he's in an awkward position because one, he's in Rise, and two, he's an actual athlete above 70 kg, below 90. It is like a weird wasteland. So he will either get like kind of fat guys who should be at 70 or extremely fat guys who shouldn't be fighting.
I suppose that's good for his career, but he was so good when he first started in Kyokushin, and then he just fell off a cliff as soon as he got to the world tournament. I'm really fool me once, right? I do not want to push and hype this guy a second time only for him to fall off. So I really want them to give him someone good on his next. So he's gotten 2 give me's to, get his feet wet. I think it's time to give him a step up in competition. But once again, Ideal Gym, only 1 loss this year when they have almost 12 fighters on the roster, and most of them have fought at least twice this year. They're just doing incredible work. I guess that's the last thought of the day. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think the only other thing to say is the only other guy I could conceive of him fighting is somehow squeezing himself down another weight class in knockout against Shintaro Matsukura in the next few hours. So good luck. I'm Brian.
That's right. Yep. He is fighting him.
Yeah, other than that, I am done.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, folks.
Yep, and if you want to listen to more stuff, don't go to other podcast services like the guy who always asks me to put this on iTunes. With God as my witness, I will never learn how to be a professional.
Yep. Shit show podcast. That's how we roll.
Later, folks.